Witam serdecznie. Chciałem w tym materiale wrzucić Wam film, który znalazłem na YouTubie i dostałem pozwolenie na udostępnienie tego filmu na swoim kanale. Także robię to za zgodą osoby, która ten filmik zamieściła, a jest to wypowiedź Timothy'ego Leary'ego na temat właśnie LSD, jego wpływu na mózg. Generalnie jest to człowiek, który był wykładowcą na Uniwersytecie Harvarda, był, można powiedzieć, że taką twarzą kontrkultury, więc jeżeli ktoś chce w ogóle zrozumieć, na czym polegał ruch hipisowski, no to właśnie musi przede wszystkim się zainteresować tą osobą. Jest to właśnie bardzo duży popularyzator LSD, który w ogóle też spotkały go z tego powodu, a dokładnie chyba z powodu marihuany, nieprzyjemności w postaci więzienia, ponieważ jak wiadomo, w pewnym momencie postanowiono spacyfikować ten ruch, który on zapoczątkował. To był ruch przede wszystkim pacyfistyczny, sprzeciwiający się wojnie z Wietnamem. Były to czasy zimnej wojny, gdzie było też zagrożenie sowieckie, więc cała ta grupa hipisów stanowiła dla ładu państwowego bardzo duże zagrożenie, dlatego po latach przyznały się do tego osoby uczestniczące we władzach Stanów Zjednoczonych. Już nie pamiętam w tym momencie nazwiska tego człowieka, ale on na łożu śmierci jakby wyznał, że po to zdelegalizowali marihuanę na przykład i to LSD, jakby wprowadzili jakby karalność tego, między innymi z tego powodu, żeby też tą całą kontrkulturę wyeliminować, bo jeżeli zdelegalizowało im się narkotyki, no to można ich było, że tak powiem, prześladować i dociskać. Co się udało? Udało się wyeliminować takich ludzi jak Timothy Leary z obiegu publicznego. Na wiele lat jakby udało się taką stygmę nałożyć na LSD, zrównać je, że tak powiem, z innymi narkotykami. Natomiast no, po wielu latach dzisiaj, szczególnie na Zachodzie, to myślenie się trochę zmienia, w szczególności z tego powodu, że osoby takie jak Timothy Leary, on już akurat nie żyje, ale dużo osób, które w tamtym czasie uczestniczyły w tym ruchu, dochodzą też do stanowisk różnych kierowniczych i miały te osoby jakiś kontakt z substancjami psychodelicznymi, więc zmiany w prawie mogą być bardzo duże, podejrzewam, za jakiś okres czasu. Natomiast tutaj polecam właśnie zapoznać się z opisem działania LSD i jego potencjału, który właśnie Timothy Leary zaprezentował, i to też jest taka rzecz dająca do myślenia, że tą substancją interesują się głównie tak naprawdę osoby inteligentne, które interesuje jakby wykorzystanie maksymalnego potencjału swojego mózgu, ponieważ no, był to pracownik naukowy na prestiżowym uniwersytecie, który poświęcił całe życie badaniu tej substancji i używał je właściwie przez całe życie, dożył sędziwego wieku i bez żadnego uszczerbku na zdrowiu, wręcz odwrotnie. Także polecam się zapoznać, więc pozdrawiam. Jeżeli materiał Ci się spodoba, daj łapkę w górę, subskrybuj, do następnego. Hej!
First of all, we have to ask the question, what is LSD? LSD is a chemical, but it's not a drug. Most Americans are familiar with two drugs which change consciousness. Drugs which put us into a stupor, drugs which wake us up. Almost every American uses one of these two. We use opiates or tranquilizers or alcohol to put us into a nice, cozy stupor. Or we use drugs like pep pills or even coffee to wake us up. But there are many other levels of consciousness, many other levels of awareness which can be triggered off by chemicals. Now, LSD is not a drug like alcohol or barbiturate. LSD is a chemical which contains several hundred Encyclopedia Britannicas. So when you talk to someone who's taken LSD, or if you have a senior who's taken LSD, his consciousness is being spun through many, many different levels of language, which are not the language of English or French or Latin, but chemical languages of cell and nervous system, sense organ, which are many millions of years old. If the person is unprepared and he swallows this local library of chemical messages, he's confused. He can be entranced and delighted, or he can be very frightened. Most of the people who develop what we call an LSD panic are people who take LSD not knowing what's going to happen. They think it's like a martini, or they think it's like a pep pill. It's not at all. It's a highly complicated engaging of nerve tissue and cell tissue inside, which throws you into energy languages for which many people are not prepared, thus the confusion and the fear. When we're talking about LSD, we're talking about an instrument, like the microscope, a form of energy. I think that any responsible adult who has demonstrated through training that he knows enough to use this form of energy should be allowed to do it. I am not in favor of indiscriminate use of LSD or of any form of energy. I think the motor car in the hands of an alcoholic or of a nut is a very dangerous instrument. Anything that man's technology has created can be dangerous if an unprepared person gets it. I'm in favor of strict licensing by government agencies the way the automobile and the airplane is licensed, so that psychologically and physically prepared people who know what they're doing and who have serious purposes can use these wonderful and incredible keys to the wisdom and energy which is inside our body. I have to use the example of the microscope. 300 years ago, if I were to say, do you know that there's a level of energy around us which is invisible, but which is powerful and beautiful and has all sorts of meanings, you'd think I was a nut or a pariah, and I'd be lucky to stay out of jail as I am today. The same thing is true of LSD. LSD is like a microscope, even an electron microscope, which opens up awareness of energies which are there. There's nothing miraculous or mysterious about LSD. It opens up energies which are there, and I think will be used in the future as a form of education, as a form of self-growth. In any situation where we now use our symbolic mind, the microscope of LSD will help us see more, see faster, and see deeper. Naturally, the psychologists and psychiatrists want to use LSD in treating mental illness. I think that LSD will be the #1 cure for mental illness when the psychologists know how to use it, because it's a microscope, but unless you know how to use the microscope and know what to put under it and how to describe and communicate what you found, the microscope leads to confusion. But when psychologists know how to use LSD, I think it will be extremely beneficial in understanding and treating mental illness. We're going to learn to be more harmonious with the other forms of energy, plant and vegetable and air and animal around us. I do think that LSD and other drugs which are coming along even more powerful in their effects to open up the mind, and man's cells and man's sense organs and man's chemicals, which come from his own body and from outside, have been the sources of information for millions of years before the printing press and radio and television came along. The only thing to fear from any form of energy is ignorance. It's the ignorant person who causes damage and destruction to himself and to others. We're in the same position now with LSD that we were 70 years ago with the automobile. Here's a new and powerful form of energy which is going to change our way of life. Well, first I must say that every second of every LSD session is different. It's like every second looking through a microscope is different. It depends what you're looking at and what magnification you have. Here's what happens. When you take LSD, it's as though you go down the barrel of the microscope and you are literally swimming around with your own cells. What's even worse, you can go down the barrel of an electron microscope and you're actually shooting around amidst all those particles. Now this is not supernatural. You see, almost all the cells in your brain are in touch with cells and tissues and capillaries and flashing particles. There's nothing that's not neurologically sensible about this experience. It's like colors and forms which are continually changing in rhythmic pulsation of the heart. Time is completely gone because to your cells have never heard of the 20th century. Your cells are working on other forms of time, relentlessly and ruthlessly and endlessly going through cycles of growth and deterioration. This is the awe, and this is the mystery, and this is the terror, and this is the sense of reverence and gratitude which can come to someone who is opened up to the world within.
You've written that in order to find yourself, you literally have to go out of your mind. using the chemical.
Yes, and I must be very straight about that. When you take LSD, you go out of your mind. You go beyond words, you go beyond symbols, you go beyond the 20th century, because 99% of your brain doesn't know that you or the 20th century exists. These are timeless processes of growth and communication and cellular energy. It's a misunderstanding between old people who drink whiskey and read books and young people who have stumbled upon these new chemical means of expanding their consciousness. There's no war which can be so ugly, a civil war, as a misunderstanding between two generations, and that's what I'm trying to avoid today. I see myself as a bridge between the middle-aged generation of whiskey-drinking book readers and this new generation who've been brought up on new forms of energy like television, psychedelic drugs, space travel, and so forth, necessary. Some people are depressed after an LSD session. It is depressing to see how ridiculous and trivial your little mind is compared to the forces which are at play around you. It's humiliating. You feel guilty at how selfish and stupid and narrow you've been, and how you haven't taken advantage of the energies and possibilities that lie inside. Then there's a feeling of messianic enthusiasm. You want to rush to everyone that you know in your family and say, my goodness, you must take this and have this experience. And of course they look at you the way they look at any enthusiast, and then you get social problems. Some people quit their jobs and get farms in the country, or as in my case, devote their life to this yoga or this discipline of learning what's within. Now this may feel good to them, but may upset their neighbors or may upset their social institutions. So there's no way of predicting how someone is going to react to the LSD session, and that's why we need a lot of research, and we need careful selection, and we have to study the people who have taken LSD. Today we have this epidemic of hysteria about the powers and meaning of LSD. We've got to have careful social studies of the people. Have they really benefited, or have they just deluded themselves into thinking that they've learned more than their fellow men? I don't know, but I want these questions answered sensibly and scientifically. I think that middle-aged people who don't know what LSD is about are alarmed by young people, and we're told that about 1/4 of our young people today, college-age kids, are using psychedelic drugs like marijuana or LSD. But they're not doing it just for fun. They're doing it, as young people do everything, for curiosity, for growth. They want more, they want to learn more. The motives of most of the young college-age people who are using LSD, I think, are quite serious. When I take LSD, and I've taken it over 300 times, I've tried to take it once a week as a spiritual discipline, the way a scientist would use his microscope once a week. What happens when I take it is, and I know this sounds far out, but I talk to my cells. My cells, and after all, I'm a collection of cells. Trillions of cells have been around for hundreds of millions of years, playing out the game of learning and communication and solving problems. So I literally can talk to my cells. My cells tell me a lot about the way they see the world. My cells aren't happy with the way modern man is using his body. We're polluting the air, we're making the rivers filthy, we're killing other forms of life. There are a lot of things that I'm doing and that human being is doing today that my cells tell me we should stop doing if we want to remain harmonious and growing species on this planet.